What if we took the frozen margarita and then made it hot? Ow. Hello, my name is Andrew and I am Plastered Panda, and today we're going to make one of my favorite cocktails to make with my friends, the spicy margarita. You're going to need two specialty ingredients: habanero infused tequila and jalapeno agave syrup. To make both of these infusions, I did the sous vide method, in which I put them in bottles and jars at 138 degrees Fahrenheit on an immersion circulator to cook the habaneros for the tequila and the jalapenos and the agave for about 2 hours. I did about 5 grams, I think, of habaneros and about 700 milliliters of tequila. This is obviously some leftovers. And then for this guy, I just filled up this mason jar and popped in about 1 or 2 chopped up jalapenos. I was much more scientific with this one than with this one. You don't necessarily have to do that though. I would, if you're going to passively infuse these, it just takes longer than 2 hours. That said, if you're going to passively do that, I would definitely remove the seeds from both the jalapeno and the tequila, because over time those seeds tend to add a woody vegetalness that's not quite appealing. I got the strategy for both of these, or I was inspired by both of these by a video by Cocktail Chemistry, so I'd go ahead and pop that over. I'll put the link in the description so that you can see that video for yourself. The last ingredient you need is lime juice, because it is a margarita. We're going to go ahead and squeeze about 1 ounce of lime juice into this here jigger. Put that into our mixing glass, or our shaker I should say. I've been spoiled by an automatic like ogging juicer. Next up, we're going to put in about 1/2 ounce of our jalapeno agave syrup. Followed lastly by 2 ounces of our habanero tequila. Now also add a pinch of salt. The big brainiacs will tell you to use a saline solution, but I'm too lazy for that. I just use a scoopful or a handful of freezer ice, so that way it just saves me time. I'm not going to sit there and make technical ice cubes or perfect cubes just because I have a small refrigerator. After giving that a good shake, I'm going to go ahead and double strain that into a rocks glass. I'm going to garnish that with a simple lime weaver. Now let me tell you how it tastes. Spicy. God, I love it. It's so clean. Normally when you make that habanero tequila, if you did it passively, you kind of get those bitter vegetal notes. Maybe if you remove the seeds, that should help with that. But when you do it with the sous vide method, it always tastes so clean, and you really get the flavor of the habanero as a plant, rather than just its straight up spice. But the capsaicin is still there. So your tongue kind of gets real confused because the ethanol content of the alcohol tries to neutralize the capsaicin feeling, but it's like a flicking the light switch sort of deal. So you still get a lot of that spice, but it doesn't hurt you for an extended period of time. That said, this is a cocktail that demands consent. Do not trick your friends into drinking this cocktail because, as you can see, it looks like a regular margarita. In fact, if I took this and put right up next to Cocktail Chemistry's margarita spec, because there's no triple sec, you would not be able to tell the difference. Smell-wise, you might notice it, but you and your friends have had a few that night and you decide to trick them with one of these. You're going to feel it, and it's not really cool. It's definitely something, once you make this and try it for yourself, you realize like this is hot enough to hurt someone if they're not properly prepared for it. So I would just say don't trick your friends, but make it a bit of a game. It's not so hot that it's like a Ghost Reaper chili pepper bullshit. It is challenging if you're not acquainted with spice, but I've given this to some of my less spice tolerant friends and they've been able to enjoy it. Be a friendly friend and don't trick people into drinking this drink. Now, having said all that, one day while sitting around, I had the most dangerous thought cross my mind. What if we took this spicy margarita and made it a frozen margarita? I've been sitting on my ass instead of actually making this, so now we're going to experiment live together and see how it turns out. So for this one, you're going to need 2 ounces of tequila, 1 ounce of that spicy jalapeno agave syrup, and 1 ounce of lime juice, as well as about 5 ice cubes. And I want to call this drink the SPICEE-ICEE. That said, I think that polar bear and the icy are trademarked, so we're going to officially call it the spicy frozen margarita. But it's really just a SPICEE-ICEE. So this time I'm going to make my life a little easier and start off with that pinch of salt. I'm going to start juicing these limes. You should be using fresh squeezed lime juice all the time. I, for one, am fine with the flavor evolution of squeezing it maybe an hour or 2 in advance, say before your friends show up to your apartment or house. I know Sasha Petrask was very big on the belief that the flavor can change 30 or so seconds after you squeeze it. I'm not big on caring about that because sure, that's accurate. You want to be able to serve it to someone as soon as possible. That said, if you're not trying to get slammed, and you aren't because you're drinking cocktails, you're going to baby that drink to an extent. So that whatever oxidation that's occurring or whatever that's happening is probably fine. But I'm no expert. I don't even work at a bar. I'm just some asshole who picked up this hobby for fun. These limes also are a little bunk because they're a week old, but they didn't mold over, so I was like, yeah, I'll use them. They still taste fine, if that says anything about my palate. 1 ounce of lime in. 1 ounce of agave jalapeno nectar. And then 2 ounces of our Habanero Tequila. Now I get those ice cubes. A little bit more than 5. We'll see what happens. Now if you don't want to break your blender, you probably ought to crack these ice cubes first. That said, I kind of want to break my blender so I can upgrade to a Vitamix or something. So here we go. juice for my taste, so I'm going to go ahead and add some more ice. Looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and serve this up in a chain restaurant style margarita glass. Probably could have blended it more. Volumetrically though, I hit the nail on the head. Garnish wise, I think it'd be fun to garnish this with either a salt rim or a tahini rim. I don't feel like doing a salt rim, nor do I own tahini, so I'm not going to bother with that. I also would have liked to garnish this with a habanero sliced up. That said, I recently found out that when you vacuum seal and freeze habaneros, or any pepper really, when you thaw them out they just kind of turn to jelly, so no garnish today. That said, let's give it a try. That's different. The water helps really cut it down, and the sweetness really comes and helps it balance out, to be quite honest. But now it's evolving on the tongue since that water is spreading it out. So you kind of get this very delayed response from the capsaicin. To use bullshit nerd terms, it's doing damage over time instead of burst damage. I quite like this and I can't wait to give it to my friends. But even just a little cross section of a habanero float on top make that look very beautiful. But I am in love with this as a frozen cocktail, and I might even recommend that on the initial out, go ahead and add 1 ounce of jalapeno agave syrup. You can use another stuff, but it's just so good. The main pepper that comes through is the habanero. The jalapenos, I feel like in the agave syrup, with how sweet that is, a lot of stuff about that's going to get lost. This balances out. It's very much, I say this, I don't know your spice tolerance, but it's very much the right amount of spice. It's definitely not like some dumb hot sauces up. Excuse me. Not like some dumb other hot sauces out there where they're just spicy to be spicy, or a lot of stuff where they just shove the ghost pepper in and flavor is secondary. This is pretty well balanced. It's nice, little tingle on the tongue. Don't trick people, but this is much safer just to give to someone who doesn't have a very high spice tolerance, and they'll be able to take a couple sips. They might not finish it, but that's their loss. So this is my first video, so if you have any feedback, please, I'm looking forward to any comments that I'm going to receive. And if you want to see more, I got some stuff cooked up, but no other videos to send you now, so go ahead and hit subscribe for me. That'd help me a lot. And once again, tell me what you think. If you make it, please leave a comment. I'm on Instagram at @theplasterpanda. You're here at @theplasterpanda. Maybe I'll make a Twitter, I don't know yet, but thanks for watching. I really wish this broke my blender so I could get a Vitamix, make a proper slushy.